Need to go over there and tell you.
Mabel was early.
Yeah.
Now I will call the September 13th meeting of the Portage Village Board to order. And I would ask the clerk to take the roll, please.
Trustee Brendan. Here. Trustee Mansell. Here. Trustee McGregor.
Here.
Trustee Mitchell. Here. Trustee Radke.
Here.
Trustee Saylor.
Okey doke. Tonight for the Pledge of Allegiance, when we have our moment of silence, I would just ask everybody to kind of remember and it's kind of hard for me to verbalize it, but what has happened in this last week. Well, you know what I'm gonna keep that in mind and maybe share some. I have to be careful when we say this, hurtful thoughts, for the family. Okay. So please rise. Aye.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed on the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Mitchell,
Second.
second by
Gregor.
I know. Betsy smiled at me and went like this. I presume she was like. Okay, any discussion or anybody wanting to?
Mr. President, excuse me.
Okay, no one wishes to speak. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty. Anybody, in the public have anything to address as far as the agenda goes? And under President's report, Eric, you can now make your special presentation.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a brief moment to share with you that there are a lot of people on Nipco Lake who are very appreciative of the translation from kind of hope about what could happen here, the beginnings of a strategy about how to get there. And I really want to call out Boz for his leadership in that effort. It's been fantastic. And I know we're still 14 and a half months away from that event to happen, but actually there's a whole lot to do in order to make that really smooth and so forth. And that leadership is really important. I think the board has been very helpful too and conscious of that. And I just wanted to shout that out a little bit to thank you all for that effort. There will be times, I'm sure, where you will hear things that are on the minds of people that will be coming that may be a little less positive at the moment. But overall, I think what we're seeing is effort to really integrate that community into Port Edwards, and it's very appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you also, Eric, for kind of taking the lead with our east side villagers, and hope that continues during the next 14 and a half months.
Yeah, thank you.
Did I use the word village?
You did, yes, it's.
And you still didn't smile. Alrighty, the chair will accept a motion to approve a resolution honoring the retirements of Kurt Wisniewski and Gail Sumi from the Wisconsin League of Municipalities. This would be resolution 2022. XX.
2022.
And yeah, in fact, I'm going to make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
second by trustee Mansell. Boz, why don't you explain this a little bit, okay?
These are two long-serving members of the League of Municipalities. One is with or integration with the municipality. So Gail deals directly with any issues we have as a municipality. And then she helps funnel it to the right person. Kurt is their deputy director as well as a lawyer, so he's very helpful when it comes to very specific questions. Just to be honest, my interactions with this professional organization has been great since day zero. They're quick, they're very responsive, and they really give you a lot of data to help paint the proper picture. These are individuals that are retiring after 20+ years. There's an initiative that's being part of it that all municipalities that are willing will create a resolution, and then in their October annual conference in La Crosse this year, there'll be a small ceremony where all these resolutions will be presented to these individuals, as well as some other going away gifts for them. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate this motion and this small effort on our part. Both will be here tomorrow night. My intent was tomorrow night, present them each with a village coin. Not this. This is kind of like the surprise gift in October. But they'll be here for our conference we're gonna have at the school forest area tomorrow night. So as a token of our appreciation from the village for all the help they've done, we'll give them a village coins.
Anybody have anything else to discuss or say? Hearing no request to speak, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item under the president's report is a personal invitation to the regional meeting that Boz just talked about, from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities on 14th September at the Port Edward School Forest Shelter. And the times from beginning to end roughly from 4:30 to 8 o'clock. Okay, this is considered a training. Okay, and Boz will have more on that in his report. And it will be a per diem. So if you attend, get your
Schedule's weird.
okay. Committee report. First one up is Airport Commission. Colonel Bossert is very happy because we're starting to get our minutes from our Airport Commission. He was convinced I was holding out on him. I'm not sure. But it ended up being a email he was sending to the old email Addy and not the .gov one. So anybody have any questions on it?
Just be advised that we will get our obligatory pitch in the next month or two that on the president's invite, he'll come and ask for our pound of flesh, $8,000 that part of our budget. And then I will pepper him with questions like I did last time. All goes well with the airport.
I don't mind. Moving on, you have anything to say about police fire commission?
They did meet. They've knocked down the list of 9 candidates to 5 that are getting a more thorough background check. Those 5 will then, after the background checks going off of what Chief Drew presents, will be ranked. And that'll be the eligibility list. And that will come probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then that eligibility list be presented to the chief for further interviews and possibly the final selection of an officer from that list to fill the 4th full-time officer position. So that's where we stand.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Radke, Public Works Committee did not meet. Do you have anything else to add on?
No, other than that the street projects are wrapping up this fall. I see that we're a little bit over due to inflation, 10 to 15% of some of the road projects. I think Mr. Martinson had explained that some of the fuel cost and blacktop costs were going to be a little higher because of inflation. Other than that, our next meeting will be on September 21st at 4 o'clock. And we'll be discussing probably budget.
That's-
Yeah, next,
Okay.
next Wednesday.
Alrighty, anything else?
No,
Alrighty, Parks and Rec did not meet either, but Chairman Mansell, you have anything to chit chat about?
I don't, no, I think there's wrapping up parks, end of the season, we have our last band coming, right? Or do we?
No,
we're
that was
done?
the last. Yeah, we did not, we decided to waive off a September.
Yes, okay. That's it.
Chairman Mitchell,
All right. Public safety did meet. Under the police department, Chief Drew had heard from, let's see, I have to look to see who he heard from the United States Attorney's Office. A case that some previous officers in the department had worked on related to child pornography. And this case was settled. And so he wanted us to know, and he also gave credit to the officers that had worked on that and done the investigation. And I don't know, were you on the force then?
yeah, he actually sent me an email, which is really
Okay.
nice, and,
You knew about it
but I
then.
did work on that case.
Okay. All right, and this person actually is also going to be serving 10 years, apparently. That was the sentence, so. Okay, the police department also completed one traffic grant that is reimbursed by the state. Another one they could not complete because they were short on staff, so that wasn't possible. We now have 2 crossing guards to serve out the school year, so that's good too. He didn't have any updates on the remains that were pulled out of the river. So apparently that's still in process, I guess, at the lab in Madison, I think. He talked about the budget, and as usual for the police department, they're kind of right on target, maybe a little under, actually. They were reported that they were at 56%. So that was a good to hear too. We also obviously spent quite a bit of time talking about the budget and the 4th officer and getting a report from the Police and Fire Commission, which Boz gave us a report on, so we know where that's at right now too. The fire department, they're down to 1 training drill a month. They've had 2 applicants that are undergoing interviews. The fire calls have been up slightly since last year, so, and I think Jason also reported that the first responder calls have doubled. So no single explanation, but a fact. So we may need to be dealing with that in the future too. Their budget is at about 65%. I mentioned the budget and I'll come back to that too. The fire department is at about 133,000, which is up about 5,000 from last year, or what has been in place for this year. So it will be 133,000 for next year for 2023. Let's see, 359,000 will be the police budget, we hope, for 2023. And the committee all were in favor of the budget, and that's what we came forward to FHR with. So I think that's everything. Did I miss anything? Jason, since you're here.
No,
you did
great.
without
Okay.
objection.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forget. Let me go off the table. Never mind.
Nope,
He answered already.
Yeah, you did great.
Okay.
No objection.
no wonder.
Get back on the table.
No wonder you get everything.
Thank you,
you asked
Chief.
for.
That is the end of my report.
Thanks, Sue.
Sure.
Okay, now, Chairman Mansell, I know FHR, or, FHR met, so.
Oh, okay. Let me think here. We met the 8th, so last week. Talked about. Obviously, budget, information, one thing we. Discussed was the village payroll and then recommendations for potential pay raises. We also talked about the pay for the poll workers to go, up to kind of meet the areas around us. Up to $11 and then $13 an hour for the head supervisor, thank you.
She likes him.
Thank you, I knew that was right. So I'll make the motion to raise the payroll cost for the poll workers to $11 and then $13 an hour.
Do I
Second,
have a second?
second.
Second by, motion by Chairman Mansell, second by trustee Grundon. Do we have any discussion on the matter? I still think this is really a good move. I mean, all the stuff that's out there in the news and all the stuff, you know,
And the pay rate hasn't gone up in recent years, so I think that's
12
Justified.
over 12 years. No
12
raise.
years, yeah. I think it's
And
justified.
we are still in the middle of the range of our surrounding communities. But a good start.
okay. Okay, no request to speak on the matter. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried.
Otherwise, just more budget talks to come, I guess. Oh, wait, and sorry. Read the whole thing. The FHR committee agreed that, an overall 3% raise for the village workers. Would be justified as well, but obviously we'll talk about that more. Down the road. And that's it, we meet. October 6th.
Questions for
Please.
Chairman Mansell? Okey dokey, Chairman Saylor, please.
Certainly the best for last. We met on September 8th. For the pit committee, pretty much just kind of reviewed what we talked about at the committee, the whole meeting about the TIF spending plan. If anybody has any questions on that, with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the TID internal adjustments for submission to the joint review board next June of 23.
A second.
A motion by Chairman Saylor, second by trustee Mansell. As written to approve the amended tax increment district project. Discussion?
What are the proposed changes?
Same changes that we talked about in committee of the whole with the big piece of paper.
Okay.
Nothing changed, it was just making it official.
We're not deleting any projects, so that requires us not to go to the joint review board sooner than next June. We are just reducing some of the funding levels internal. So what you'll see probably in the May timeframe, through Pitt and this board, you'll see our request to the joint review board before my meeting to lay out what our new numbers will be for my discussion with Pittsville. So.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion carried.
And then we talked about some future agenda items, which we'll talk about later after things are cemented. But as you can read there, there's some, I don't know, I think they're kind of some exciting things, bring some new things in the town possibly. And close some doors on some other things. So we are going to flip-flop our meeting day. So FHR is bullying us and taking the Thursday. And so we're gonna go on that Wednesday if possible. My only question is can we move it to 4:30 instead of 4?
I'm good with that.
Just because I'm the bus company for my boys and he gets out of class at 3:45. So if I can make it 4:30, it's just easier. And so if we could make that change to 4:30 on that Wednesday.
Yep.
And we adjourned 4:17. So
Any questions for Chairman Saylor?
change my phone.
Okey dokey, Plan Commission has not met, unfinished business from previous meetings. Under new business, anybody have anything to bring up? Boz, anything on the horizon? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
So if you look in your little report. We did move our seasonal workers off the roll, so we're down to 85 of our positions, because we're still counting the unfilled police officer position, so there's 5 empty positions in the village, everything else is filled. No burning issues on payroll, well under executing, so we're good there. As Chairman or Trustee Radke mentioned, we did get a slight bump. It was within our numbers, I'll say, for the project. For a lot of our project work, 3rd Street, Fort Road and whatnot, but it was more than towards the end. And basically the oil prices for the asphalting, so they didn't go up higher, and they're to continue to go up. The numbers today still hovering at 8.3%, so no time in the near future is that going to come down and reset. We still have on the table a request for $87,000 for Range Line Road. I will be at the next meetings of Saratoga and Grand Rapids representing the village to ask if they want to participate with us as a joint effort, because of those roads, and they're more appropriate for their citizens rather than our citizens. Saratoga initially responded with yes, we agree. I don't know what level of support they're willing to give it, so I'll be at their next board, and it's actually next week, I'll be at that board meeting to present our case. And even if we get a, 10, 15 grand, it's better than. I don't see, honestly, and I think I'm probably gonna ask the president to come to the Grand Rapids one, they're not too, they don't see the big need of it, because they can just go right around Sampson Road, and they don't need a range line. Saratoga likes range line, so, we'll ask and see how it goes with, town of Grand Rapids. Wisconsin Rapids basically said, we don't care, we're not gonna partake in anything.
Mayor made that very
Yeah.
clear at the airport commission meeting.
I will keep pressing, and the president knows that the airport will be seeking funding. And possibly, depending on how they write the wording of their funding, there may be some infrastructure money that we could say, because of the access gates off a range line, we could use airport money. So that will come indirectly through Wisconsin Rapids, but more so through the federal money at the airport. So more to follow on that. We just know we have an estimate on the table for it. No big issues with police and fire. We will do an assessment. We do the payroll for fire department this month, or a couple weeks from now, I think.
The next day.
Yeah, so that'll give us a better sense if we're going to break that budget line. And we'll bring that to the public safety and FHR if required. We go over, but because of the slight adjustments in training back to normal, we may be under the wire. Committee of the whole, I'll have those minutes. There were some technical issues with the video, so Kelly's working on those minutes. We'll present those probably to the next meeting to get them validated or approved by y'all for the committee of the whole. We had 2 interviews with 2 more mid-state students that want to participate in the program, so they're in the vetting process now. I interviewed them last week. Male and a female. The male is from Port Edwards. He lives right back here. I apologize, I blanked out his name. He's not a long-term resident, he's a student back here. And the lady is from Wisconsin Rapids, so very interested in government. And I think that would definitely help us on Mid-State's dime to expand our ability to seek out grants and so on. I have a NEPCO Lake meeting on Friday that will be mainly focused with the HOA members. So as Mr. Hummel mentioned, the HOAs kind of ponied up 1 or 2 individuals to represent the 7 HOAs. So it's like the board of 7, and they'll all come together in this meeting we're gonna have on Friday. To have a discussion of how the HOAs will interact with the village, as well as how the HOAs may want to establish a lake association or a lake district for specifically NEPCO Lake. We're gonna do it here in person, and we have a Zoom link for a couple individuals that won't be able to come in person. So I'll send that out after this meeting. It's 10 o'clock on Friday. So we'll send that out and notice it out. No trustee, either you're all invited, so it will be noticed, so we'll get it out tomorrow. Tied to that, I had a meeting last week, 7th September with Steve, with our lawyers, the lawyers we hired for just the NEPCO Lake. Issues, this was our Domtar guys that we basically turned them off from Domtar, or I'm sorry, not DMI. Turned them off from our DMI representation and said, can you be on call if there's any NEPCO Lake issues? They're doing some research for us when it comes to the, basically how we as a village will interact, with the residents with some issues. Good meeting with, Brian Formella and his team up there at Stevens Point. Very smart, big brains when it comes to HOAs. We don't have HOAs in our village, so we really never dealt with them before as a village interaction. So there is some uniqueness when it comes to their responsibilities and how they interact with municipal governments. So they're digging into that, as well as the responsibility of Domtar when it comes to the lake bed. So a few municipalities have tapped into the owners of the lake bed to help with the lake maintenance. And right now, Domtar, nothing against them, have been kind of left on their own to not participate in much when it comes to lake maintenance. They take care of the dam, they manage that. But because they own, over 500 acres of lake bed, there is a responsibility in the state of Wisconsin where they would be not forced, but pressured into participating in assisting anyone with lake maintenance, because it's tied to their ownership of the lake bed, since it was a man-made lake. So we have a good thing there for us. So the lawyers are digging into that to see if how we approach Domtar. Already had a discussion with Domtar. They're open to it. They understand the need for it. So I don't think it's going to be depending on what we ask, it's not going to be very confrontational. We talked about the meeting. So tomorrow night, it's the league brings like a road show to not only get us to interact with local municipal governments, to share, best practices and whatnot, but also discuss the big issues with taxation in Wisconsin, how the elections coming up will either hurt or benefit us as small municipalities. There is food on site, and it'll be a very informal session up there. The school gave us the use of the shelter, so we appreciate that. And I will be there starting at 4:30. Teston and Krug were invited. I think one of them is going to show. They didn't tell me which one, so they'll be there as just the sounding board. Probably. We do have a signed contract from our 241-251 Market Avenue. I just got the signatures from our president and Diane tonight. They'll be sent to the lawyers for the final closing. We're looking at 2 weeks from now, once Nick does his stuff. He's going to handle the closing for us. And then we will met with the individual on Monday. He's clearing his stuff out. And then we'll get in there with our team to see what we need to do to get the farthest unit fully ready to get renters in there, that we have a signed contract with them to actually start operations in there. And then we'll continue to move on that process. What you'll initially see probably in the next week, getting rid of all the paint, but nonsense that's on the walls. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to black out the windows with some white sheeting, basically to prevent people poking their eyes in. We'll be changing out the doors, locks, then start working on the mechanicals on the inside. And once the restaurant guy comes back, he wants the next slot for a meeting room for his restaurant business. And then we'll focus on the center slot for trying to transition that to either rent or sale. So movement there. This one's on hold, basically based on the foreclosure actions, but I'm not worried about that. We're going to focus our energy over here. We did our music fest.
No, was there a price discussed on the restaurant on buying the next unit over? Or
Well,
still
no,
up there?
and until we firmed up the total price. So right now we have a rental for a year plus for the FAR unit. And, I'll sit down with the owner of the restaurant. It's probably going to be in the 10 to 15 range, if that.
Okay,
I mean, if we're paying 30 for everything, it's kind of asking a lot. But we'll have that discussion with the owner there. I'd lean on what we see the work being done. I'd lean on a lower end cost with him doing a lot of the work to clean it up, so we don't have to do it. Cause he's a contractor, so he'll do that at no charge to us. And that'll be the negotiation I approach him with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But more to follow when he gets back. We did a Ripple Creek, last thing, so I gave you a kind of summary for the months, it cost us, about $1,000 total from the village perspective for the entire summer. But we had, decent turnout, for what advertising we did. The bands were pretty reasonable for charging for 3 hours of music, so that was good. And we took some lessons learned for next year if you want to continue this. We'll try to work more closely with an outside entity, be it our fire department or someone else, to see if we can offer some adult beverages at that same time frame. That was the recurring ask every time. It is Wisconsin, but okay. So that was about the only change. And then we'll see if we can offer the food services to a fundraising source rather than a profit source. So be it a veterans group, fire department, police department, they can cook the brats and stuff and then make some money for their departments. We'll approach that next year. The next major, what I'll call a village event, working with the Parents Association here, a Halloween trunk and treat right out here. Will be the week before Halloween, so kind of like that Thursday, I'm thinking. And that's where individuals that want to partake will decorate their vehicles, will line up all the cars here, and any kids that want to partake will just run the line, get candy. And then that'll be the official function for the village, and then we'll just supervise activities for Halloween night. The following Monday, I believe, is Halloween. 31st. Yeah. And so to your questions, all I got.
Any question? Okay, quick treasure. Alrighty, trustee comments. Yes, sir.
So maybe this is. Maybe this is new business, but seeing the resolution honoring two people that have given a good amount of time for their job. Do we have in our handbook or anything, any kind of employee recognition or length of service awards or anything for our employees?
I can't remember ever.
Well, I'm wondering if FHR could come up with something. I'm not talking the candy dish at 5 years and a watch at 10, but something to recognize, because if you look at all of our employees, the majority of our employees do 30+ years. And that's a huge amount of time. Maybe there's a 20-year, you get this or that you get something. And then when you resign or retire, like Lon did, or Jasper, or you, or, some kind of recognition. Now, I know that a lot of these people don't want that recognition. Dell's not gonna come in here and listen to us thank him or anything, but at least give them the opportunity, put it in writing somewhere in the meeting minutes. I think the relationship between the employees and the village board is stronger, my opinion, than what it has been in past years. Not saying it was bad in the past, but just something to recognize the employees. I just feel that, just the most recent one, Jasper leaving or whatever, Jasper left. There was some Facebook, thank you, but I don't think us as a board gave him any as a village gave him any recognition. So if FHR could come up with something and do that, I'm not saying a resolution or anything, but I know in the fire department, we have bylaws that list certain things that we can do and can't do, and I just would like to see that for our village employees.
I agree with the concept, but personally, I think before it goes to FHR, I would rather have the colonel.
Yeah.
Work on that from that. I mean, if you would.
Sure, yeah, we've been thinking of stuff like that, so yeah, we'll put something together and bring it through FHR for discussion, so.
And then Chairman Mansell, if you could keep her informed as you're working through that, I appreciate that.
It's not a burning topic right now, but just something for the future.
Well, Lon wants his retirement clock. So.
Cuckoo clock. That's what we want.
But I hope that we could do something that is significant and not something like you just mentioned. Because I think people get too many of it's important, the recognition is important, but it begins to collect and at home and
Well, I know for,
And
from as
whatever that
president,
is.
we as the board passed the hat around and we all threw money in to get, your slide engraved on your service weapon. And then that was gifted to him.
And that was, I would say that's significant,
Yeah.
you know,
And you guys also, did a whereas, and that was officially presented to the state legislature, which I am deeply appreciative. I go by that every day.
So I just like to see something for all the other employees and maybe
Yeah.
even recognition for the past.
See, my
employees.
cousin Scott Krug signed it.
there you go. So that
That's it.
was significant.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to, I touch on this on FHR, but just really say how proud I am of the village in light of recent tragic event, really, I've seen everybody step up. It doesn't matter if they were close to the family, barely knew the family, clergy. Everybody kind of pitched in, and that's kind of what makes this place special, and I just wanna say thank you to the entire village for that. And also the police department made sure that they were there, on site at school, pretty consistently this week, which was nice to see. So, thank you to the village.
Point. Colonel, meetings?
You see on there, we just did a pending change on Pitt, so now it's at 4:30 on the 5th. But other than that, unless you all see nothing, I did not include any, so you're gonna hit budget discussions in all your committees. So at least for October, I don't foresee another committee of the whole. We do when it'll be in the November timeframe, so that's the only
usually a
thing,
little runner.
Yeah. But that's all your meetings up through the next board meeting, so.
Okay, without objection, I will declare the meeting adjourned at 7:36 PM. Thank you very much.